ask for sexual favors.
The KZN Command Council is giving an update on the COVID-19 situation in the province. The signs of resurgence are being reported in some parts of the country. Premier Sihle Zikalala is addressing the state of readiness for matric exams this afternoon. Let's take you straight there.
A state of lawlessness where anarchy reign and differences of opinions are circled through the barrel of the gun. We want to have community that is at peace and resolving issues amicably. Compatriots, we want to place on record that we fully support and endorse South Africa's economic reconstruction and recovery plan as unveiled by President His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa recently. Having engaged with this plan, we are firmly of a view that it is the right tonic to ensure that the effort to rebuild economy post and amid COVID-19 are accelerated. The objectives of the plan are to create jobs primarily through aggressive infrastructure investment and mass employment programs, to industrialize our economy, focusing on growing small businesses, to accelerate economic reform, to unlock investment and growth, to fight crime and corruption, and to improve the capacity of the state. As the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we will also be unveiling our own economic recovery and transformation plan. The plan we will be unveiling is tailor-made to the address presented by the province, presented by the president, but taking into cognizance the situation at a provincial level. Before we delve into the latest trends and analysis of COVID-19 situation in the province, we wish to welcome the news that our Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and his wife, Dr. May Mashego Mkhize, are recovering well after they tested positive for COVID-19 recently. We are extremely pleased that the minister's condition and that of his wife is improving each day and that his initial symptoms are no longer there. We are also comforted by the fact that his wife has been discharged from the hospital and joined him in self-isolation at home. We thank all South Africans who rallied around the minister and his wife and prayed for them at a time when they needed our collective support and divine intervention. We convey our best wishes for their speedy recovery once more. In terms of the analysis on COVID-19, there are strong indications that COVID-19 is still alive and still dangerous. The number of confirmed positive cases in the past 2 weeks have shown increase by 1,720 cases, which bring the province to 122,138 total confirmed COVID-19 cases. The overall provincial percentage change for the past 2 weeks was an increase of about 28%. This is proportional with an increase in the number of positive tests from the week 41 to 42. However, the increase in the number of positive cases in the past 14 days occurred in 9 districts, with just 2 observing decline. These were Umkhanyakude and Zululand. Meanwhile, Hirikwala district had the highest increase in the number of new cases provincially within the same period. In terms of numbers, comparing the week 41 with week 42, by the 17th of October, the increase was 356 in eThekwini. The increase in eThekwini now in the week 42, which The date, cut-off date is yesterday, 24th October. Increase was 460 new cases. In Ilembe, by the 17th, we had 62, and right now, yesterday, we recorded 79 new cases. In Umkungundlovu, 82 on the 17th of October, and by yesterday, we recorded 115 cases. Tugela, 28 on the 17th of October, and yesterday, we recorded 37. King Echwayo, 64, and yesterday, 68. Uku, 40 by the 17th, and yesterday, 53 were recorded. Amachuba, nothing was recorded by Amachuba, 31 recorded on the 17th and 21 yesterday. Umkanyagute, 27 increased by 17th of October and 52 by the 24th of October. Herikwala, 6 cases were recorded by the 17th of October and 31 cases recorded by yesterday. Zululand, 38 increase or new cases by the 17th of October and 32 recorded cases yesterday. Umzinyati, 9 cases were recorded on the week leading to the 17th of October, and 9 cases were recorded in the week leading to the 24th of October. So in all, by the week of the 17th October, there were 756 new cases, and by October 24, there were 964 new cases. Then if you then put together the number of cases from the beginning till now, we have registered 122,138 cases. We are worried that the number of deaths has increased by 186 in the past 2 weeks, which brings the province to 3,192 total COVID-19 related deaths. The number of deaths has been declining with the decrease in the number of confirmed cases, but we also see that slight increase now. We would want to strongly condemn the reckless behavior we are seeing emerging. We are very concerned by largely carefree attitude that has been displayed by some citizens of this province, particularly since our downgrading to lockdown alert level 1. Despite our warnings about tangible examples of a second wave of infections and deaths, it seems that some people have thrown all caution to the wind and gone back to their old ways. Gone are the mask and sanitizing of hands, as well as adhering to social distancing. In many instances, if you didn't know, you would swear there was no COVID-19 around, let alone the fact that we are still under the national lockdown. Looking at the statistics around us, we can now safely say that we are definitely going back into a hard lockdown if there is no urgent and drastic change in behavior. Behavioral change is important. Let's make this clear. The second wave of COVID-19 will be stronger and deadly, not only in terms of taking human lives. It could deal our economy a major blow. It is something that all of us as right-thinking citizens should be doing, is to avoid this. We should put all means and practices to avoid the second wave. In this regard, we call upon the business community, particularly those who are in the food and hospitality sector and other sectors, to ensure that there is strict adherence to alert level 1 lockdown regulations. There is no use in chasing profit today only to be shut down by a hard lockdown tomorrow. Let us all behave. In the same breath, we want to warn liquor outlets who do not abide by national lockdown regulations that we are coming for them. All alcohol outlets that are not following restrictions will have to face the wrath of the law. Alcohol is usually a major contributing factor to road accidents and other social ills such as gender-based violence and interpersonal conflict, which often turn to fatal incidents. Reckless trading in alcohol, therefore, has the potential to derail all the progress that we've made in preparing our healthcare system for a potential onslaught of COVID-19. Therefore, failure to adhere to the restriction in an effort is an affront to the state and, in fact, undermine all progress that we've made. We cannot tolerate that, and therefore our inspectors will be going out in full force to enforce the law in order to ensure compliance. In fact, we want to warn those posting pictures of themselves without wearing masks in liquor outlets. They are going to face the music, themselves and the owners of those establishments. With regard to the education sector and preparation for the matric exemption, we are a few days before the start of the matric exemptions. This is a year in which our education system and capacity was extremely tested due to COVID-19. It is a year in which the Department of Education has had to dig deeper into its well of creativity to salvage the 2020 academic year. We want to take this opportunity and thank all learners, educators, support staff, and officials for being courageous, standing firm, and remaining focused in carrying out their duties, even despite the fear, anxiety, and uncertainty that was brought about by COVID-19. We also wish to send our condolences to the families of all education stakeholders who succumbed to COVID-19. May their soul, or may the soul of the departed compatriots in the education sector rest in peace. In 2020, the Department of Education will be writing a 3-in-1 examination. The examination which were not written in May and June 2020 will then be written in November, December. The department has worked very hard to prepare the class of 2020, both academically and administratively. In terms of academic readiness, to ensure academic readiness under these very testing conditions, the Department of Education, under the leadership of MEC Msheng, introduced intervention program in order to prepare learners for the 2020 examination and salvage the academic year. These included orientation sessions such as just-in one-time workshop, which was aimed at capacitating teachers, as well as introducing extra tuition for curriculum coverage and revision. More hours were added by the educators and learners to cover the curriculum and revise the year's work. And for this, we are extremely grateful for the sacrifice and commitment displayed by all stakeholders. The department also extended access to digital platforms, radio, and television lesson programs to all or to more learners. The platforms used included KZN Funda Portal, as well as Gamma Gadget pilot programs. These were cutting-edge education solutions which were introduced and piloted in the two districts, the district of Uthugela and Umzinyathi. The Department of Education is also working with Vodacom to ensure easy access to online lessons without paying for it. Another key intervention was a program directed to improve the capacity in terms of maths. The WASA matric program has also been providing good support in mathematics, science, and other gateway subjects. With regard to district support visit, we also conducted district support visit, which helped a great deal to inform the system of what is actually obtaining on the ground and lessons that can be learned from these areas. These visits assisted districts and schools on matters of curriculum coverage, revision programs, and other special kind of interventions. In terms of the readiness when it comes to administration, the province is ready to administer the 2020 public examination. The examination will commence on the 5th of November 2020 and conclude on the 15th December 2020. There are about 1,678 full-time examination centers and 72 private examination centers. In terms of candidates, the province has registered 145,878 full-time national senior certificate candidates, 22,011 part-time candidates, 35,105 supplementary examination candidates, 18,072 multiple examination opportunity candidates, and 15,667 progress learners. With regard to concessions, the province has 768 candidates who have been granted concessions during the administration of the 2020 public examination. There are about 878 candidates who have been granted the immigrant status for writing the National Senior Certificate Examination. In terms of monitoring and invigilators, the training of monitors and invigilators has been concluded. The Education Portfolio Committee and Teachers Unions will join the monitoring team of the exams. External monitors will be also deployed by Umalusi and the Department of Basic Education. Monitors and invigilators will visit examination centers to ensure that the 2020 public examination are credible and have integrity. In terms of examination skills, all learners in KwaZulu-Natal have been provided with a booklet that guide them on the examination skills. The selection of markers was also completed on the 31st of August. We look forward to a smooth examination session or season, and we wish all of our learners, educators, and all stakeholders the best. We have no doubt that once again, the class of 2020 will fly the flag of our province very high. We are exceptional, and we expect them that they will once again take the flag high. With regard to the renaming of health facilities, we welcome the adoption this week of the proposal to name Edendale Hospital after Harry Tembakwana and the Tuton Community Healthcare after Councillor Mfundo Arnold Lushaba. This effectively paves the way for a progress to immortalize the precious memory and legacy of these two struggle stalwarts. These developments are an important step in our ongoing quest to preserve and celebrate the profound, meaningful sacrifices of our leaders against the brutal apartheid system in the quest for the freedom that we are enjoying today. As a conclusion, I wish to remind all citizens to adhere to COVID-19 safety protocol by wearing a face mask when venturing out in public, washing our hands regularly with soap and water or use sanitizers, and maintain social distance of at least 1.5 meters between ourselves and other people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. We're going to shoot straight to the questions. Apologies to our colleagues online and whatever issues today. But let me take the questions from the colleagues that are here, get an indication of that. The colleagues that are there. Thank you. Old man in the back and let's do a second, and then the gray head one will be there. Can we start with that order?
Thank you, Mr. Nova. So, simple moment from the SABC News. Premier, you've alluded to the fact that you have been noticing a worrying trend in terms of non-compliance when it comes to the general public. I just wonder, in terms of the anticipation, Premier, we're expecting the festive season now where more activity is going to be taking place. What tangible plans are you going to put in place to ensure that people do adhere to these regulations? Because warnings have been issued, but we are seeing people behaving in the manner that they are. And the question to the MC for Education, Mr. Watumshengo, is the interventions that have been put in place at the MEC, are they sufficient in your view as we head to the examinations? Thank you.
Yeah, we should have from KZN Command. Also, is more about the issue of accidents that we see occurring almost on a daily basis, and a lot of people are losing their lives because of this reckless driving. What is the government of KZN, maybe the Department of Transport, is going to do to create awareness towards this road safety? Because especially now we are heading towards Naman, which is an festive season, and it looks like we are going to see more and more people dying on a daily basis in accident, which it seems like they couldn't invest into COVID-19. And then the second question is going to the Department of Education. It's about this 3-in-1 exam. Is it going to be taking place or happening to all of the grades, from grades, lower grades to the highest grade, which is grade 12? Thank you.
President Jali from Pumalala newspaper, old man, has two questions. Number one is about the accidents. I just wanted to find out if there is a common trend among all these accidents, a common trend, say maybe speeding or drinking, or is it a combination of factors that maybe has been discovered to be a common trend? That's number one. Number two, you spoke about the concessions which have been given to 768 who have been granted concessions to write the examination. What kind of concessions are these, for instance? You can just give an example of some of the concessions. Thank you.
With regards to the writing exams, NEC, we are aware that they have a correction of the writing exams, but within the weeks, did the Education Department do anything to mentally prepare the matriculants to be writing their exams? We know very well that the COVID-19 had an emotional and mental disturbance to to most people, not mentioning the scholars, the students who at some point last over about a month in school. Did the department do anything to mentally prepare so that their minds, state of minds are there, that process or at that stage to be able, for them to be able to handle. And also, are these exams have been, I know that you're not too much involved in preparing the content of the exam and the substance of it. I just want to know the quality of it. As you're saying that they would be levels, almost trying to cover the entire year's work. If they would make it to be that the students have been well prepared for it.
Thank you. I will hand over to the panel for this round and take the second round.
Thanks. I'll just gallop through those that are related to accidents in particular and leave the health and education related questions to MECs. Firstly, we are going to intensify the campaign going to the festive season. We are working through MEC Ntuli to ensure that the awareness campaign is intensified as we are heading to the end of the transport month. As MECs, we are instructed, as members of the Executive Council, we are instructed to go to our respective districts where we are champions and ensure that road safety campaign is intensified. But we will be also activating and imposing strict policy around the road. So you will see more of our traffic officers dedicated and working. And we are going back to say alpha. Luzobuya nispulamtet. And we will be clear on that. Whether there is a trend, we cannot conclude right now. But from the beginning, you will remember during the lockdown that one of the accidents that happened in Jozini, it claimed the life of many people. And it was said that though it was not finally confirmed, there was an issue of alcohol. And that's what is an impact. And that's why in a statement we are raising this issue that alcohol has an impact in the rate of accidents that are taking place in KwaZulu-Natal. I believe that covers most of the issues that relate to the accident. So for now, we will not want to say there is a particular trend or not, but we would want to ensure that there is a fair investigation. One of the problems here is that we are dealing with a situation where those who are drivers of those cars involved in accident will also perish, and then you will not be able to have conclusive investigations. That's one of the disadvantages in answering that question. Let me allow colleagues to come and deal with other questions. I think, let me see, Nomapu, please start.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For a change, I only have one question that I need to respond to. Mshengu, welcome to my world. The question I have to respond to is in relation to what Uspriya Makanya was asking on our state of readiness as a province as we are approaching the festive season. I think the first understanding that we all need to have is that that particular plan can never be just a Department of Health plan. It needs to be a collective government plan. As a result, as the Executive Council, we have been given a task to come up with a plan that will include both the social cluster and the economic cluster. Including the security cluster, which is the third cluster. Economic cluster in a sense that, as you correctly indicate, as the festive season is around the corner, our hotels are going to be utilized, people are going to be visiting our entertainment areas and so forth. So we have a responsibility to engage the owners
of those spaces, which is why in the briefing today, Premier also indicated that we have taken a decision as the province that we now need to start engaging vehemently owners of the areas or entertainment areas, because while people are not wearing masks and probably that will be a security cluster issue, but business people have a responsibility, because one of the conditions of opening up of business was for them to ensure that they maintain social distance, there is sanitization within their spaces, there's also the issue of masks. So this is part of planning for that particular area. MEC Nomsa Tubenqube has started engaging with the owners of the different hotels, motels, and whatever accommodation areas that we have in the province, to make sure that again these protocols are being adhered to. From the side of the security cluster, MEC Pegintuli is working on a plan with the team, and we are also part of that team, by the way, as the Department of Health, to ensure how do we enforce the regulations. But it again comes down to us as the community, because you only have so many police, you only have so many soldiers. If you don't soldiers, you will never have enough policemen to police 11 million people, as we are more than 11 in this province as a population. So it again comes to all of us to ensure that we adhere to the regulations. And if we see our families, friends, and everyone, those that are close to us, not adhering to regulations, we then must be able to call them to order. So I just spoke about everyone else, but in relation to the Department of Health specifically, we have a plan. I think about a month ago, we started indicating that we are planning for the second wave. And our planning for the second wave is not us saying the second wave is going to come, but it's because we don't want to be caught off guard. So as part of that planning, we are also planning for the festive season, because we are very much aware that you are going to have people that are going to be coming outside the province that might not have tested, and that will have to be tested. So we do have a plan in place. The only challenge with that particular plan, and the reason why we need all the clusters to work together, is that as the Department of Health, we then only come in at the end or towards the tail end of the sickness once you start showing symptoms, and then we test you and see if you've got the virus, and we are able to treat you. However, we need to start right at the beginning, when our visitors come to the province, when their visitors are in our places of entertainment, we must be able to adhere to the regulations. And if we are able to do that, then we'll be able to manage the spread of the virus. Having said that, we are calling on our visitors. We call them to come and enjoy the province of KwaZulu-Natal, because, as you know, it is a playground of the world, we are told. And the good thing about those that are also entertaining in the province, have also started thinking outside the box. They are not now just putting everyone together in one space because of the transmission. They've started getting creative ways on how to entertain, which means we will continue having the entertainment, but in a safer way. For instance, there's an activity that's going on right now that is called drive-throughs. There are drive-through drive-through movies, drive-through comedy show, drive-through shows that we are going to have. So we will continue to have the vibe that we have in the province, while ensuring that the protocols are observed. So we are ready. We are ready very much, and we expect people to come to the province. Thank you very much, Bab Mabaso.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks, Mr. Premier, and greetings to the viewers. Well, on the question whether the interventions that we made towards the examinations are enough or sufficient, obviously we would have preferred to get more time, really, to thoroughly prepare our learners as we did in the previous years. We lost so much time from the day of the nationwide lockdown, where there couldn't be really activities of schooling, except where we were able to reach some of the learners online or through online platforms, but others we could not, because some areas in our province still have challenges of connectivity. So from the time we reopened schools in June, there were also stops and go because of the infections in our schools. Again, we lost some time because of that, and we really had to do more to ensure that we prepare these learners, because the papers that they are going to write have not been tampered with. They have not been reorganized like in other grades, where we had to trim the curriculum and reorganize the examinations. Umalusi was very clear that they are not going to quality assure any paper that is substandard. So the paper that the matriculants of 2020 are writing or will be writing is the same paper that was prepared 18 months before the start of this academic year. So that is why we had to work extra hard to ensure that we cover the curriculum, but we also have space for revision so that learners go to examinations prepared. We want to thank our educators who really dedicated themselves to ensure that we save the academic year. There's a program which we call 5+1 or +2, which is 5, it means 5 weekdays, then 1 Saturday, 2 Sunday. So there are schools in KZN, in fact most of them, where teaching has been happening from Monday to Sunday non-stop. And that is due to the dedication of the teachers, the commitment of learners, the support from parents and SGPs and all the sectors, the stakeholders in the sector who have really been quite supportive. So we believe that given the time that we had, we tried our best to ensure that we cover the time lost, cover the curriculum, but still have space for revision. As we go around visiting school and visiting centers, learners are oozing with confidence. In some instances, they are really shocking me that I'm the one who's getting scared whether we'll perform well, Mr. Premier, but learners themselves, they are clear that next year they are in tertiary institutions. And it shows that the level of preparation that have taken place in our schools, and thanks again to teachers as well as the commitment from the learners. On the issue of 3-in-1 exams, what we mean by 3-in-1, it means that this time around, the examinations that were supposed to be written in May and June could not be written because of the nationwide lockdown. And those exams will now be written together with the final examinations, the ones that are starting in November. There were learners who were supposed to write supplementary examinations during the course of the year, which they could not. There were learners who were supposed to write what we call the multiple examination opportunities. It's called the modularization, where in the previous year they chose to write few subjects and complete the rest during the course of during this year. So all those ones, the supplementary ones, the MEOs, and those who are sitting full-time for exams for the first time in 2020 will be combined, such that in KwaZulu-Natal, the learners who will be sitting for examinations are just over 221,000 learners that will be sitting for exam. It's a huge cohort that will be writing examination. But other grades, they will just be writing normal examinations with a trimmed and reorganized curriculum. But with matric, we could not reorganize because we did not also want to stigmatize the class of 2020. They need to be treated like the rest in spite of the conditions. Insofar as the concessions, there are learners who, for example, will have different forms of disability, and which will, if I want to make an example, if a paper is to be written in 2 hours, there will be learners who will need, because of their disability, probably an additional 30 minutes or an hour. You have to apply for that to happen, and those are the concessions that was speaking about. So that when the rest are supposed to finish it in 2 hours' time, then those who have been granted concession, they can proceed for another 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the type of concession that was given. So as we prepare for examinations, we have to look in all our schools in the province to see where are these learners, how many of them, and we assist them to then apply for these concessions, and fortunately all of them have been granted. Have we prepared mentally the learners? There are programs that we have rolled out as a department, working with the DSD, their psychologists and the social workers who have been visiting schools to really work on the mental ability of these or a state of readiness for the learners. But others have really been quite motivated by the fact that they want to go down in history as a class that defeated COVID-19 before the other people could defeat it. And in our view, they have defeated COVID-19 by soldiering on until exam time. And the confidence that they have is really what is motivating us, but also the rest of their peers. But also as a department, we have been rolling out programs to prepare them mentally, and some have lost parents and relatives because of COVID-19, and they needed extra support in terms of mental fitness. And where we have identified such cases, we have been able to provide support. I think on the issue of the quality of examinations, I covered it, Babugina, to say it's the same paper that was set 18 months before the start of 2020. And at that time, no one knew that there would be COVID-19. So the quality of the examination, as quality assured by Umalusi, still remains the same. And we think and confident that there will not be anything that will hamper the standard of this examination. Thank you.
Just last one for me, Mr. Mawaso. On Friday, we learned about the brutal killing of the principal in Musinga. It seems as though the criminals continue to behave as they can do as they please in public schools. What plans have you got to ensure the safety of both learners and the teachers during schooling hours? Thanks.
Well, it was indeed an unfortunate incident that happened on Friday at Somahashi High School in Msinga, where criminals gained access to school and shot the principal point blank at his office. And what actually happened is that the incidents happened at around 2 o'clock when learners were dispersing home to their different homes after school. And the VW Golf, then as the gate was opening, it gained access, and they say in a very speedy way, such that learners started to disperse in different directions, avoiding to be crushed by this polo. 2 men alighted and went straight to the principal's office and started shooting him. And as learners heard gunshots, then they dispersed to different directions, including the educators. Unfortunately, the teacher died on the scene. They then left the school, and about a kilometer away, the car overturned. But as it overturned, they got out and hijacked another teacher who was coming from a different school. They took her back and attempted to escape with it. Fortunately, that educator alerted her tracking company as well as the police. So they managed to track the car, and they found it in the area of Greytown. And then they apprehended the suspect, not knowing that these are the same suspects that had killed an educator in school. It was later on that they discovered the guns that were used, as well as the report that actually these are the same people that had killed the principal, and they were trying to run away. So really, as the Department of Education, we have been working hard to ensure safety in our schools. That include refencing the schools that were not properly fenced, and some whose fences were destroyed by the communities, deploying community safety volunteers in our schools, working with the police for continuous patrolling and visibility. We really are working hard to ensure that our schools are a safe environment. But as we have said it before, we want to repeat it now, that as long as we don't win this battle in our communities, our schools will continue to be soft targets. And because this is a battle that we must win on the streets in our communities. So we want to plead with our communities to ensure that they work with us, they work with the police, they give all necessary information that can lead to the arrest of all these thugs who are targeting our schools, be it to steal or to commit heinous acts, as it happened on Friday. We were thankful to the police, on the fact that they managed to arrest the killers within a very short space of time. But as long as we don't win this battle in our communities, we'll not win them at a schooling level, because in our view, what we experience in our schooling environment is actually an expression of how our societies have become. And we need to really win that battle at that level, and we'll continue to mobilize our communities. We'll remember the strategy, the safety strategy that we launched, led by the Honorable Premier. And part of the elements is to ensure the continuous mobilization of communities, so that they really rise up and protect the schools, which are basically the centers for their development. So we will continue to implement our strategy and continue to call on communities also to work with us, so that we eliminate all these kinds of criminal activities and make our schools a safe environment for teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A question on the online platform relating to the process relating to the recruitment in the university for the SABC. May we just briefly explain the issues around the university?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabaso, and that opportunity. We, as the Department of Health, we started building a few years back a hospital called Dr. Sihle Zikalala Memorial Hospital, which is in the Ink area, part of eThekwini. Now, one would want to really have to clarify the processes that are going to be followed in relation to the recruitment process. This is a hospital that we are building new, fresh, straight from the ground, which means there's literally no one that is on site currently. We will be opening the hospital in the next few months, but it is ready now. The only reason we've not been able to open it is because we have not recruited due to COVID, because we needed to use the hospital for COVID. We needed the beds for COVID cases as well. Now, we want to emphasize as government the fact that this particular hospital will have more than 1,500 posts. More than 1,500 posts, which are going to be posts that are in relation to clinical posts and non-clinical posts. And all the posts that are going to be in that facility are going to be posts that are going to be insourced. In other words, we are going to be implementing the resolution of the African National Congress that government needs to start insourcing. We've not had an opportunity to do so in other areas because we've had contracts with other service providers, but in this particular case, we've not entered into any contract. As a result, the province has then decided, led by the Premier, that we do need to start insourcing, and that is what we are doing, which in essence means we are going to be employing cleaners, we are going to be employing porters, we are going to be employing security people, nurses, doctors, CEO, everyone. So that is the process that we are going to be following. The process of government, and this is both provincial and national government generally on recruitment, is the filling of the Z83 form. Firstly, we advertise and everyone must complete a Z83 form. Now, I want to emphasize that fact. There is not going to be any exception in this particular facility. Everyone will have to complete a Z83 form. However, for posts that are at an entry level, like your cleaning posts and your porters, your gardeners, we have decided that they don't have to, those that are applying for those posts, they don't have to post them to the head office, which is in Umgungundlovu. They can just go to the facility itself. There are going to be containers there that are going to be separated. Those that are applying for cleaners posts, that's where they are going to put their application forms. Those that are applying for security, they will do the same thing, and so forth. We want to emphasize the point of advertising, because there has been a number of voice notes and the number of communication going around the community in particular that says either one or the other of people are responsible for recruiting. We've been told that some people have put up some gazebos somewhere, and people need to come to them to recruit, to register and so forth. Some have been made to pay, by the way, for them to be able to actually be employed in this particular facility. So we do want to emphasize, no one has to pay. You don't pay. All you have to do is get a Z83 form, which you also don't pay for. A Z83 form you can find in any government department, any government office. You can get it even at the Pixley Hospital itself. You can get it in any hospital. You can get it from any other departmental office, and it is given to you for free. So we do want to emphasize that point. Councillors, together with the MEC, are politicians and are not part of the recruitment process. The recruitment process is purely an administrative process that is going to be conducted. We want to emphasize, though, that we will be issuing adverts in trenches. We've already issued the first adverts that we are speaking to those that want to apply to be cleaners and groundsmen, your security people. We've done that last week. The following week, we are going to be issuing another advert that speaks to the admin staff and different heads within the facility, including nurses. And then in the third phase, we'll then be advertising for everyone else that has not been part of the 3 trenches. So we are just saying the only reason why we are separating it into 3 trenches like that, it's purely because it needs to be managed. You might not be able to manage it properly if you issue all the adverts at the same time and have everyone congregating in one space. We are dealing with COVID. We have also a responsibility of ensuring that our people are not exposed. We are aware that there are a lot more people that are unemployed compared to the number of posts that we have. However, those are the posts that we have. It is not a hospital that belongs to the Inc. area. It is a hospital that belongs to eThekwini. It is a hospital that belongs to the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So you will have a mixture of people that come from the local area, but you will also have people that are coming from the rest of eThekwini and the others from the rest of the province, because people will be interviewed. Of course, where there are entry posts, when people are applying, they will have to indicate that they live in the area, and those that are responsible for administration will have to give preference to the local people, but that will only be done at a level of administration. Thank you very much, Mabas.
Thank you very much. The question of the Premier will also be reviewed for us.
Thanks, Mr. Mabaso, once again. Siyafisa uqala ngokubonga kunina nonke ukuthi nibe ingcenye yale briefing yanamuhla. Okokuqala siyafisa nje ukuzwakalisa uzwelana kwethu nemndeni ethe yalahlekelwa izihlobo zayo engozini esibhekane nazo kusukela engozini eyehlakale izolo ku road R61 eRamsgate kuya kulabo ababe sengozini le eBisolundi. Siyafisa ukuzwakalisa amazwi enduduzo kulaba, kodwa at the same time sizwakalise umbono wethu ngokuthi akukuhle ukuthi uma kunezingozi abantu abafikayo mase bethatha izithombe noma ama video bawanekele umphakathi okukhanda ukuthi izihlobo zalabo abashonile zibone kuma social media ngokushona kwezihlobo zabo. Lokhu kusho ukuphela kobuntu, and siyafisa ukuthi sibahloniphe abathandiweyo bethu bephila noma sebedlulile. Ubuntu bubalulekile. Indlela izingozi ezinyuka ngayo iyaphoqa ukuthi njengohulumeni sithi uqinisa kakhulu isandla. Ingakho through MEC uNtuli sizoqinisa ukuthi njengoba sibheka nje nasemaholidini i-traffic management iyaqiniswa ukuqinisekisa ukuthi kuzo zonke indawo kuba nama roadblocks, and siqinisa ukuthi abantu abasebenzisa umgwaqo bawusebenzisa ngokufanele futhi nezimoto ezisemgwaqeni zifanele. Ngiyafisa ukuthi sizwelane nomndeni wakwa.
All right, let's come out of that briefing then. That's the KwaZulu-Natal Command Council's update on COVID-19. What we also were getting there was the state of readiness for the matric exams with Education MEC Kwazi Mshengu shedding some light on what is happening there, particularly as we focus on matrics. Really said that we need to move more to prepare the learners, and nothing has been trimmed down for matriculants, unlike with other grades. Nothing was substandard, and that they want to have extra, that they have to work extra hard, in fact, so that they can indeed cover that curriculum as those matriculants go into exam time. So a lot of work awaiting those matriculants who had a very difficult year this time around. But also Premier Sihle Zikalala talking about the second wave of COVID-19, which he says will be stronger and deadlier, which is of course quite scary. But in the same breath, Nomakuku Simalani Zulu, the MEC for Health, saying that they are ready for people to start coming to the province, and although they still want to be caught off guard when it comes to the second wave, they are indeed accepting those who are indeed wanting to come on holiday. So that's that briefing then of the Command Council update on COVID-19 in KZN, currently still underway. Let's move on then to other news. Gunmen stormed a school in Cameroon and opened fire indiscriminately, killing at least 6 children and wounding about 8 more in a region where separatist insurgents operate, arriving on motorbikes and in civilian clothes. The attackers hit the school around midday in the city of Kumba in the southwest region, according to the accounts, including from one parent outside the school at the time.
Cruelty.